would just be better if we actually had audio this time. Considering last time it was what, like 2 minutes before I could get the audio working, but it is. I can see the audio working. So welcome to Geeks with Kids. Today we're gonna jump
Hey,
back into our welcome to Derry reviews. We are in the third part of our reviews. We've been doing 2 episodes at a time. So this week we're going to tackle episodes 5.
Almost over.
It's almost over. We're talking about episodes 5 and episode 6 of It. Welcome to Derry. Joining me are Hawk and Brent. And these 2 episodes are where the show starts to fully explode. We get a full Pennywise appearance, some big mythology moves, and some genuinely unsettling horrors, reminding us that humans can be scarier than the things under the waters. And as always, spoilers are ahead. We are not going to do what's good because this is what's good. And because we sort of want to...
We have our year end coming up anyway.
We have our year end. We've been keeping this pretty tight. I think our episodes have been under an hour or an hour and under. But we've been getting through a lot because they've been really diving into the Stephen King mythology. And they're really doing some good work out there. So without further ado, we're going to talk about episode 5, 29 Neibolt Street. So we start with Maddie's return, the emotional moment where the kids think that they've got their friend back. Okay, so before I go into these summaries, these are just short summaries. I'm not going to go into scene by scene because we want to talk about the actual episode. So this episode has Maddie's return where the kids think they got their friend back, but it's a trap because it's not Maddie at all. It's actually Pennywise, the it creature, using this form to draw them towards the sewers underneath 29 Neibolt Street. Meanwhile, the adults in the military start to move in. Russo's team is officially treating this thing as a dangerous entity, and they're going to try and sort of contain it or capture it. We're not quite sure what they want to do with it, but we know that they sort of want to make their move against it. So they invade the well house and the tunnels underneath Neibolt. It's chaotic. There's soldiers in the dark. There's weird sounds. You see visions of people. Halloran gets sucked into a dream vision of him in water. We know that water is a really important imagery in the It universe. And then down in the tunnels, the kids come face to face with the entity in its full clown form, Pennywise. We see this horrific transformation of Maddie turning into Pennywise. It's such a huge and terrifying moment when we see Bill Skarsgård finally fully stepping into the role. We finally see him in the flesh, and it's terrifying. In the chaos that follows, the kids start running, and Lily is almost taken out because she separates from the group. And as we know from it really wants to isolate each of these people so that they can, kill people. And together they're stronger. But as Lily is sort of almost taken out, the Shukapua star shard that was lost by Taniel earlier in the episode starts to shine under the water. When she picks it up, Pennywise pauses. He recoils. He actually recoils away from it and just backs away back into the sewers. It's the first time we've seen anything stop the creature. So, like I said earlier, Halloran has a psychic break. He goes into this vision where it is sort of manipulating his mind, and we see his mind box. It's something that we've seen in Doctor Sleep. We've seen it in Dreamcatcher, and it actually forcefully opens it, releasing something. We don't know because it's still episode 5. We found out in episode 6, but we're not going to talk about it until we get to the next one. And we see visions of everything. It's just, he's barely holding it together. We see him exit the sewers, and there's visions of a soldier that we'll talk about shortly. As the kids are escaping the sewers, what was his name? Military dude. Hanlon's in there with his buddy Paulie. And earlier in the episode, he sees his wife and he realizes it's just a vision to scare him. So he believes that if there's something that's not supposed to be down there, just shoot it because that's just a creature. So as they're trying to get their way out, Hanlon and Paulie start to hear voices coming down the sewer. So they arm themselves and they see Will running down the tunnel. And that's when Paulie realizes, hey, I can see that too, which means that it's actually Will. And he jumps in front of Hanlon's gun to stop him from shooting his kid. And in the sewers, Paulie dies. Yeah. So, That's the end of the episode, is it not? I think the last scene is
The last shot was
Holleran coming out of the sewer, right?
and then looking over to his right,
Right or
and I
left?
think he sees Paul.
He
He
sees
sees
Polly.
Polly's spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just lost
yeah,
in the woods.
it's haunting.
Oh, let's talk about that's Nebolt Street, episode 5. Look how
Yeah.
fast that summary was. Even though I was sort of stumbling
Because
over
I wasn't
my...
interrupting you like every other week.
It's okay. You understand. We've had 2 episodes before. You know that the questions are coming. Let's talk about the Maddie reveal. Our thoughts on how Maddie Wise, as I put in the outline, I like saying that Maddie Wise was used to manipulate the proto losers. Like we know that Pennywise can take the shape and form of people that he's consumed or manipulated, but I don't think we've ever seen him go to this length, like be out during the daytime for a long period of time with you. What did you guys think about this? Oh, let's go with
Bye
Hawk,
for-
and then we'll go with Brent.
All right.
It has always been so fascinating because the rules regarding this powers that he possesses are not always so clear in that. Sometimes it involves like psychic projection. Especially like in regards to like his battle with Halloran in episode 5. I believe he has strong psychic powers in that. It's that ability to adopt a gauze that he somehow is able to put some sort of a glimmer over everything. We know he has an enormous influence over the town itself, and that he amplifies hate and all the worst aspects of the adults there. We see it, in like not just the movies, we see it, very explicitly in this TV show, and that like the kids beating the kid in the street, and the adults would just walk away. As far as like the Maddie Wise, yes, he is capable of absorbing and using loved ones that he has taken away from these people, and that in these different forms. He did it in the movies, and that with Georgie, appearing in the basement. This is a very complex illusion that he has created, and that not just because like it's so funny because the way it was filmed, we thought it was just another him just doing another scare tactic on the kids when it starts, right? But then we sort of fall for it ourselves, right? He comes out, he's dirty, he's disheveled. His skin, the way it was bleached, like he was lost for weeks down there in the sewers, was just a very nice touch. But yeah, I don't think we've ever seen like Pennywise using this kind of a alluring hunting tactic like this before in such an extended period of time, and during the daytime too. Yeah. I guess I just really want to talk about like him, like maybe this is him at the, we know he's nearing the end of his feeding cycle, and that is that when he gets more powerful.
I think we talked about this last week where he builds up to a big climax, right? And that's what the black spot is going to be. But he does get more powerful. He feeds that, and then he slumbers for 27 years. I believe that's what we talked about, right? Last week, Brent?
Partially, yeah.
Yeah. Brent?
I wish I believed Maddie was alive. I wish I fell for it, but I didn't.
He said that Polly was alive, and I was like, or not Polly. He said that
Well, we'll get into that. So we both at one point or another had our conspiracy theories that Phil was still alive.
He said it was alive, and it made me believe it.
Yeah, like Eric was dead set that Phil was alive on the first couple episodes, and then when we came in for our second batch of episodes, he was like, "No, he's definitely dead," and I was on the "No, Phil's alive" train because we never saw Phil in the graveyard. Phil was not one of the spirits in the graveyard, so that must have meant he's still alive. So there was like that nagging part of me thinking that this was setting up that we were going to find Phil down there, but I wanted to believe it. I wish I believed it, and I wish I had been fooled by it because it would have been a lot cooler. But I just didn't buy it for a moment because there was too much evidence leading up to that point that there's no way Maddie was alive. Like I was like, I couldn't buy it. Yeah. And I knew in that moment that exactly what was happening, that he was going to lead the kids down to the sewers. That would explain the scene in the trailers of all the kids. I got the number wrong. I thought it was 7. It turns out it was only 6. But it was leading all the kids into the sewers. And I explained to Eric right afterwards too. I said that's why if you watch the season trailer, they specifically silhouetted Maddie in that scene for the trailer, so you didn't know that it was him and you didn't know he was there. And
Yeah.
I thought that's brilliant because it
Yeah.
kept you guessing. It just
You
looked like it
know,
was bad lighting, but I
looking
knew.
back, sorry, just to interject, looking back, it was pretty clear he was dead from like the first episode because he was in the film that they were watching on the screen, right?
Yeah.
Meaning,
Yeah.
he was down there floating.
I didn't even think about that. Damn.
Yeah.
That was basically it. It was like he was in that opening bit, like the whole opening sequence of the first episode, and then the family that kidnapped him, basically also being in the film.
Yeah.
Which, like I said originally, I did not notice the first time. It was like there's just no way this is an entire like setup. The only real surprise for me was when it was Manny that appeared from the tent, because I thought it was going to be Phil, and I thought you and I were going to be vindicated
Yep.
on that. And then when it wasn't, I was like, ah, damn it, he's going to lead them down to the sewer, and fuck, Phil's dead.
Yep. Yeah.
He's going to bring him down, and we're going to find all the dead kids.
And we
I'm
did.
like,
We saw all of them,
yep.
which was brutal.
Finally got that confirmation.
The one part that made me question it is when Maddie came out of the tent, which was yellow, and it made it look like he was Georgie. And I was just sitting here, I was like,
Yes.
"Fuck, he." It made me worry. And then he said Phil was alive. I was like, "Oh, maybe." And then it was that whole thing.
And then things happened.
Speaking of things, oh yeah, sorry.
What I loved, I just want to, before we move on from the main thing of it all, but I will say that to me was the moment where I was like, this show is fucking brilliant in the way that they're telling. Because the fact is that you and I having that conspiracy theory at various points that Phil was alive, turns out at this moment when he says, oh, he's alive down there, it was intentional.
Yeah.
It was never meant to be conspiratorial that we figured that out. It was intentional. It was little drops along the way for people to pick up on that trail of breadcrumbs and come to that conclusion themselves without anyone having to spell it out. And it's absolutely brilliant storytelling.
Machetes, man. Machetes are doing such a good job. So this episode, we finally get to see Bill Skarsgård return as Pennywise. What did you guys think of his reveal and how he came back into character? Did he feel like it was just like home for him?
I felt like, first thing, I felt like they blew all their effects budget on that whole sequence of his reveal and that, with Maddie swinging around the pole and that, singing the song and that, and the way his head started to open up from the back, you could see those familiar teeth and that. But the transition, as if Pennywise's face just kind of grew out of the back of his head as you could see him spinning around the pole, and it was like hats off to the VFX department.
Now we know why the bike riding looked like such shit, because they put all their money on that.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a great little VFX reel that they did. Do you remember when the Grogan kid? What's her name? Ronnie Grogan and that saw the image of with the mother and that on the bed.
Oh yeah,
giving
I saw
birth.
this too.
There was you saw that the way they had a real person in that mime walk backwards to the bed and lay down and they cut that reel forward and that to create that effect. Brilliant. Anyways,
we'll send it to you
but the reveal was great. You can tell how invested Bill Skarsgård is in this role. I think he secretly he just loves playing this character.
I wouldn't doubt
and I'm glad. Yeah, and he's no hesitation about jumping back in and that. It just felt like the movies and that. It felt like part 3. It's great.
It felt earned. His reappearance felt really earned, and I know a lot of people probably had issues with they're coming into this expecting Pennywise. It's like, well, this is it. Why isn't Pennywise? Yeah. And it's like, this is an education to people that Pennywise is not what it is. That is just one small portion.
It's his
favorite. This show has done a really good job of building up what the entity really is before bringing in the familiar face. So they've slowly spoon-fed us this little bit, and then when he finally appears, it's like it just feels right. It feels I've been waiting, but I'm not impatiently waiting.
Yep.
It
They've used
was,
him just the right amount so far.
and it was the right
Mhm.
time to finally see him. Right. It was just the
Yeah.
perfect. It was like the chef kiss. Him just
Mhm.
spinning around. As soon as I saw Maddie spinning around that pole, I was like, "Oh fuck, something's gonna
Yep.
happen." Stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Starts
it was
singing.
when he started singing. That was it because, like I said, you never watched any of the trailers, but one of the preseason trailer was Maddie singing that song. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
Maddie that was singing, and it might have been another person, but it was that "Down with the Clown" song, and it is the creepiest thing you've ever heard.
Oh,
All the
Watch the
music is
trailer.
just
Like, go back
creepy.
and watch. You can probably watch it now because most
I'm
of it's
not
been
gonna do it.
revealed.
I'm gonna wait
Or
till the
just wait
end.
till the end of the season, but go back and watch, and just to listen to that song being sung.
You told me that there's a
It's
military thing
terrifying.
that I can't see in the trailer, so I will wait.
There's no, the military thing has happened, but there is still more that was in the
Yeah.
trailer that has not
I
happened yet, and
don't
one of them looks like it's a big thing.
I don't doubt that. We'll talk about that in the next episode,
Yeah.
or in the next section. This episode, though, was really about the military versus the monster. We see the
Mhm.
military gathering their forces. They take Daniel into Nebold Street. They do their whole military plan. What are your thoughts on the military's plan to contain it or jail it? I don't really understand what they're trying to really do. Use it as a weapon is
I
what I
don't
think is what
I
they're
don't think
trying to.
they really understood what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, it's a bit of a play on like America at that point. It's like they're that war-driven economy, and also the fact that they were the first to get into space and the first for the atomic bomb, and this thing is potentially the next game changer in that, and they want it first, literally.
Mhm.
The plan is interesting to say the least, in that the discoveries that they were making in that that basically about like the totems that were created from the vessel that was used to imprison Pennywise. Um, it like it just lends so much to that lore. We know it came from space. I don't know if we knew for at the before that this was its prison. Which
I
leads
don't
to these
remember it.
questions,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah,
yeah, did
that
it?
was going to be my big thing coming up. Is I don't know that they ever established that it was a prison, but I think based on his reaction
Mm,
to the shard, I think we can assume that that's what it was. Was that
Mhm.
he wasn't in a vessel that crashed on Earth. He was in a prison vessel that crashed on
I think.
Earth, and when it broke, it
Yeah.
set him free.
yeah.
And that's what, and we learned that it's those shards that were keeping them imprisoned, and that's why they're using them as the totems, and that's why it repels and keeps them encaged.
I think Rose
Like
talks
the
about that in
material.
her thing,
Yeah,
in her
yeah. Yeah,
story.
she talks about that in her when she's discussing it with
Mhm.
with the general who's in charge of the operation, James Remar's character. I'm bad with names on this one. Like I
There's so
gotta
I
many.
admit,
honestly, I
There's so
keep
many.
forgetting this is.
Yeah.
that's so bad. But yeah, I believe that the vessel that he came down in was basically a material that robs him of his power.
Oh.
This is why, yeah, this is why
Mm.
it's like,
Yeah,
and it basically it must throw off something like a radiation to him. um
it's
you know
kryptonite. It's
it's
essentially
his
kryptonite.
kryptonite
It's yeah.
essentially in that, but the fact that they can use like basically what, like a dozen pieces of it in that to contain him within one forest area, right?
Mhm.
It gives you
Which,
some sort of measure of its power.
yeah,
Perhaps
which
it
makes me
like
wonder
yeah.
how big are these totems that they're using that can border around when he could get that close to that shard.
Mhm.
Yes.
So you got to
Yeah.
wonder how big are these
They
other pieces
must
that
be
they have
big,
that he
right?
can't get that
Is
close
it
to them.
isn't one of the shard so when they dug up the car, was that one of the totems or was that just a piece
I
of.
think it was definitely like Halloran was drawn to a particular site.
Yeah.
I believe the people in that car, um,
They are the
are
gangsters that
they
die in the
they
previous.
gangsters
Yeah.
that die?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, definitely. And that I wonder if like we're probably going to see maybe
We
like these totems
100%
come in
are gonna see that
are going to
murder.
where
Oh
maybe
yeah,
these totems
that's
come
season
into,
two.
Yeah.
That's going to be
maybe
season
the
two.
totems actually come into play like more often than we think. Maybe the gangsters like grabbed it in some sort of heist and not, didn't know what they had.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
and
only imagine.
and Halloran was just drawn there to them.
Yeah. Because I wondered about that too, where I thought maybe it didn't have anything to do with like the shards specifically, or that the car with them is a totem. But what if it's just a matter of like it's like if it is involved in something, it leaves
Oh.
some kind of like an energy behind, and that's what Halloran was drawn to, was the energy that was left behind that.
So they talk about
Yes.
one big event per cycle. That was the big event, right? The murder of the
Yes.
gangsters.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this cycle is going to be the black spot. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So each one would, and then
And then, I
the
mean, like,
factory fire.
the
Yeah.
factory fire,
It-
everything like that.
it would
they're all
explain
these
why
big
he
events
can
culminating
find-
cycle.
It would explain why he could find the car, but he can't find the totems.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
with the shine. It's like basically like with the Shining and that. It's like those they're psychic impressions that are left behind that
Yeah.
only people who shine can detect, right? And the
Mhm.
hotel obviously was full of them. The car that they all died in, that I guess was basically like that psychic,
Ooh.
that scar that he detects.
Other theory that literally just popped into my head right now.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the gangsters in the car also had the Shining. And that's why he was able to contract it, because we have seen that he can communicate with his grandmother who is dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because she also had it. So maybe that's why he was drawn to that specific. And then when we get to season 2, when they tell that storyline, we will find out that one of those gangsters also had it.
I would like that.
That's a good theory. Good theory.
Oh.
Ooh, does that mean like, at some point, is it possible we could see those basically Rose the Hat return at some point in the season in that? If there are if there are people who shine in that, and they're doing a great job intersecting like these stories and that together. So I wonder if Rose the Hat could come back.
Does like Rose the Shokapiwa woman, does she have it?
I don't think,
because I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why why the slingshot was such a totem for him.
I think
the slingshot they've never really explained yet.
I think it's because it was used to repel him. Like it actually injured him. So I think that's why it became something powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe it's like the slingshot reacts to certain energies. Like, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like, I know. Like, I can't remember if they did this in the Machete version, but I remember back in the original series and that when the kids, in the miniseries, when the kids went down and that, even like it, like the one guy used his inhaler and that, as like a weapon against him. Back in that thing. Yeah.
I feel right now, coming up with these theories and like all this stuff that's rattling around in my head and everything about the show, like I now understand how you guys feel about Star Trek.
Yeah, that's fair.
I now get
it. So let's continue on the path of these conspiracies, because I want to talk about Hanlon in the sewers. We know that he doesn't fear things, right? He has something in his brain that makes him not fear things, but he does.
Yeah, I think it was a war injury in that basically.
Yeah, it was a war injury to his amygdala.
But he still got to see a vision of his wife, which scared him. So maybe there's a proximity thing, and then let's talk about him almost killing his son and then ending up killing Polly. Thoughts on this whole thing, on how it's starting to affect him?
I still think, like we discussed this a little bit last time too. I do still think he feels fear. I don't think that the portion of his I don't think he's incapable of feeling fear. I think that what the injury did was allow him to not be frozen by it. It allowed him to push through it, because as I said, we have seen him have fearful moments in the show, generally involving his son.
Yeah.
So he does feel fear. He's just not crippled by it, which is why he's able to be used as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. Looking at him as a character in that, we know he was already an Air Force pilot in that, which kind of puts him in that type A personality profile in that, where it's like their flight response is always like, on the fight side, they're the people that fly jets and climb mountains and that, because they don't have those typical fear responses or the concern we have about like our mortality, but again, like he was down in the sewers with it is something else, and that even the Army recognizes that this is not just about fear. It's this is about something that is potentially a weapon of fear. That's how powerful it is. He experiences it, probably that's the first time he experienced fear in a while now, but yes, it doesn't cripple him in the same way. It always goes to the fight response with him.
Yeah. And I like that we're seeing that Hanlon and I'm brain farting right now, Halloran we're seeing that they are basically the antitheticals to each other. Like
Yeah.
they are
Mhm.
both experiencing the same things. They're seeing visions. They're both experiencing that fear, but they're handling it so drastically differently. Like where Hanlon wants to protect his family, but he's ready to jump in head on and tackle this. Whereas Halloran is finally like, no, 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 I'm out, I'm done. Like this is too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which partly because of the box thing, which we will get into.
Yeah. We'll get into the next episode. I didn't write this down in the outline, but there is a sequence at the end when the general Francis, I don't remember his last name,
Mhm.
Francis is talking to Hanlon, and he's like, "We're gonna get Rose and all the people back for doing this to us." I sat there and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Rose warned you about going down there. Why are you gonna
Yeah.
get her back?"
Yep.
Thoughts on this? I feel like this is gonna lead to something big in the next episode or the
Yeah.
next two episodes.
Francis
'Cause
Shaw, by the way, General
Shaw,
Francis
yeah.
Shaw. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's all really kind of coming to a head in the next one. That we know, like with Halloran and his buddy Spot, and that may or may not be the site of the next massacre. In that,
It will. It will be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If it isn't, then most likely it could be like there aren't Shaw's response to that to Rose's betrayal.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think there's more to his character that we haven't seen yet. I think he is too accommodating and too nice about everything that's happening right now, and I think it's all a smokescreen. And I think that the closer they get to the end of this, the more unhinged he is going to become, and the more he is going to reveal himself that he is actually a villain in this. And that he is basically, because it's like they're setting it up that he wants this entity to use as a weapon, and he's selling it as, well, we're going to use it as a weapon against itself so we can stop it. But no, they want it as a weapon to use against enemies, like as we discussed earlier. And I think the closer they get to getting that, the more so he's going to want it, and the more he's going to be willing to step on anyone who gets in the way.
It's a good theory, actually, and I think it's supported by some of the events in the next episode, which we will be discussing.
I do. Yeah, I do wonder. I do wonder if this government outfit is like a precursor to the Shop, which is a government agency that we see in Stephen King properties all over the place. You see them in Dreamcatcher. You see it in they're in The Stand, I believe, and
yes, and Firestarter,
and a bunch of others. And I was watching Dreamcatcher the other day just because I wanted to, because I hadn't seen it in years. And when they're talking about places that they monitor, and Dreamcatcher is really interesting because the Shop, like with the alien entity that drops in this place. Hawk, you haven't seen it, right?
No.
I'm not going to spoil it, but when this alien entity comes, the Shop goes there to, cleanse the area, like just get rid of it. And I wonder if that happens because they tried to contain it in this and they realized it's not going to happen and they just need to wipe it off the face of the planet.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's
it.
And they always seem to be like controlling things in every other property. This seems like a good place for that to start. Although Carrie takes place around the same time, right? The 70s, 60s, 70s. I guess this is a bit earlier still.
It was late 60s, early 70s, I think was the general era for it.
So
I think it depends on which adaptation it is. So.
That's true. I don't know what they're going to pull from. We don't know. This would be a good, we'll talk about the next episode. I'll talk about it in the next section. And they mentioned it in Screen Crush's latest video, and so we'll talk about that later. We talked about the
cat will not stop fucking screaming right now.
We can't hear.
It's driving me insane.
We cannot hear your cat.
They closed the door to upstairs, so he's stuck down here with me for the night, and he's not happy, and he is screaming incessantly since we started recording.
Bring him on. He can give his thoughts because we're gonna talk about the Star Shard. We finally saw it in use, like fully in use. This episode they had mentioned it in the vision that Daniel had in the previous episode. What are your thoughts on the Star Shard? I know we had touched upon it. Do you think this is where they start pulling from, like the ritual of Chud and stuff like that?
I could
Don't know
see
if I,
that.
yeah. You go ahead first. I'm not that familiar with the
It,
ritual of Chud. I don't think I got that far into the
Or
book.
if they start pulling from
it's
different things. I think we had talked about earlier that there are maybe multiple tribes and they do different things for Pennywise.
I I really don't know how it's going to tie in because it hasn't like this is something new that's
Yeah.
being added into the mythology really.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not sure like how because to me the ritual of Chet doesn't involve anything to do with his origins and everything. It has to do with the impact of the relationship between like what their impact was with him influencing their lives. Like it was because each of them in the movie was like their totem that they had to use was something that was important to them at a time that they were dealing with this fear
Mhm.
Right.
and something that they like is deeply personal to them that they can then sacrifice to gain the power to stop him, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the creature's origins in any way. So this is just like to me it's brand new mythology. I think it works,
Yeah.
but I
I
don't
agree.
know if it's going to go beyond this season. Like
I feel like we'll
It
see the children of Maturin in earlier seasons. I
it's
do.
weird because yeah, it's weird because like they do throw in these things into it, like the ritual of Chud and that. It's like it's belief systems from a lot of different spectrums in that,
Yeah.
and like in it, you can kind of see the Losers Club kind of creating their own kind of rituals and totems and to deal with this. Like we look at the shard and there's hieroglyphics on it.
Yeah.
You know, what do we make of that? Does it go back to that far into history, or do those glyphs come from were they lining for the prison that he was in,
I
like
I
as he was
I
traveling through
feel like
space?
I feel like it was that the Chickapewa people did that on there to make it like to signal the various. I don't know. I mean, these are things we're probably gonna find out in season 5 of Welcome to Derry. To be honest,
I hope so.
if we
I
touch
just
it,
catnipped him, so he's going to calm down now.
that's fair. Unless he goes high.
How many seasons do you think this is going to go? I mean,
Well,
like they've
yeah.
they've already
They
confirmed that
they've
three.
already said they've
Well,
already
isn't
announced.
it 4?
Yeah,
3? Just 3?
three.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we get this
I can take
one.
that.
The final season will
Is the
the final season
Pennywise?
will be based on something that happens in the next episode.
Okay, cool,
That's even
cool,
it. That's
cool,
more
cool, cool,
interesting
cool.
because I don't know what they're
Yeah.
talking about. Oh wait, I do know what you're talking about. Yes.
A character that is
Yeah.
introduced in the next episode is it's going to be that timeline is
Yeah.
going to be the final season.
That makes sense.
Nice.
The two, so the fire and then the circus. The let's talk about Halloran's vision. We see his grandparents, fully his grandparents, and we see the use of a mind box, which is very important in Doctor Sleep's and Dreamweaver.
Yep.
We hear him talk about his grandfather in Doctor Sleep and how terrible he was and how his grandmother helped him through that. What did you think of them touching upon this in Halloran's and how it took that box and ripped it out?
I couldn't believe they went there. First to go this into Halloran's backstory like this from Doctor Sleep. So it's like I wonder if it was a little confusing for some people in that who are maybe been familiar
I haven't seen
with the.
Doctor Sleep, so it actually I didn't know the tie-in.
You
Yeah.
should watch it.
Okay,
It's so
yeah,
good. It's like one of the
because
best.
like the
Their
opening
director's cut.
chapter in that, because the opening chapters of the book and that deal with like post The Shining, Danny Torrance growing up and that, and
Yeah.
still communicating with Mr. Halloran, and Mr. Halloran teaching him a technique that he learned from his grandmother and that, so that Danny can deal with the bathtub lady and that who followed him all the way home from The Shining.
Yeah.
Which was such a cool. This was such a great little tie-in in that, and the brief chapter that the parts that they did devote to like Halloran's backstory in that, it's like the grandfather was an evil man, the type that no child should ever be alone in a room with, and after he died, he continued to haunt him in that until the grandmother taught him how to build the box, and as we know in Doctor Sleep and that, the boxes, they're it's like it's weird because like Halloran had one box for all these like all the spirits that tormented him, right? I remember in the book, Danny created multiple boxes.
But
But
Halloran
that
tells
it,
him to do that in Doctor Sleep. So I wonder if
yeah.
this incident is what made him do
Oh,
multiple
that's right.
boxes, right? Because
Right.
he only had one box, so maybe he
Yeah.
needed to multiple boxes inside
Yeah.
boxes. In Dreamweaver, they have a safe which has multiple things inside of it, so and multiple
That's so
layers.
cool.
Like,
Oh, that's such a this is why it's such a great tie-in. I'm glad they went down this route with this, with Halloran. He's been my favorite character throughout this whole season, basically.
yeah.
I love seeing this backstory with him.
hmm Brent, anything to add to that? I don't know.
No, I mean the only thing I really to add is just that like I did see that thing about the multiple boxes and everything. I read about that online. I didn't know that was a pull from Doctor Sleep. I thought that was. I thought it was honestly. I thought it was something from The Shining that I just didn't remember.
Oh, you really should watch. You haven't seen Doctor Sleep, have you?
I have not. I do want to. It is on my list of things to watch because I just have, especially now after Life of Chuck, I have to watch everything Mike Flanagan
Yes.
at this point.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
Well,
Like Hill House
this
is on my list,
yeah.
and then like Doctor Sleep is on my list. Like I have to watch everything that he's done now.
And when you're watching it,
Drugs
look for the director's cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, most director's cuts don't matter, but this one, it's actually quite like a lot better.
Mm.
Not that the regular version is bad, it's just a little more
Nope.
brutal and a little bit more
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else from this. I said questions raised. I wrote part of this like, when I after I watched the first episode, I was like, well, I guess all the kids are dead. Yeah, they're all dead. So let's get into episode 6 where we saw a big swing into the supernatural with episode 5. We see Pennywise return, but episode 6 hits on something that I find even more scary, and that's people, regular people, especially people in the 50s. So, the big story thread in this one, and this is something that me and Brent have been talking about for weeks, is dealing with this mysterious lady played by Madeline Stowe. This really well-known actress, who we didn't know who she was. She was working at Juniper Hill, and we find out that she's Ingrid Kirsch. Obviously, we talked about that in the a couple episodes ago, but we find out her humble beginnings. We find out that she's been hiding something, and not something small. She's been working with, or at least enabling, Pennywise, or the creature, and her betrayal is connected to everything that she's been doing. We see her in this flashback listening to, so this is 27 years prior, so it's during
it was 1930, I think.
Yeah, so the previous cycle. We see a younger Ingrid Kirsch, or Mrs. Kirsch, who we actually see in the It movies,
Chapter 2.
And we see her working at Juniper Hill, and she hears this little girl talking about Pennywise the clown, and she's like, "Oh, let's bring this child down into the basement so we can meet this clown." We find out that as a little girl, her father used to dress up as this clown called Pennywise, and and in the most terrifying, it was scarier than seeing the clown, was seeing him show up as her father through that doorway and telling her to open it up because he can explain everything. And we know that from that moment, she's been helping Pennywise get children and just sort of manipulating things going forward. I'm really looking forward. The actress that they got was in The Expanse in like some of the final seasons. So she was a belter. You'll recognize her if you look her up on IMDb.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to seeing her as Mrs. Kirsch in the next season. I assume they're gonna use the same actress because she was really good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the real world, tensions are like at an all-time high. We see the townspeople putting up posters for Ronnie's dad all over the place because he had escaped previously. Was it last episode or the previous episode where he escaped from the
bus
transport?
crashed in the previous episode. Yeah.
Episode 5, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Ronnie's father escaped because his bus transfer to Shawshank was attacked. And we find out that Ronnie's dad was sleeping with Mrs. Kirsch.
Yeah.
now that we have you all up, there, the tensions are raising in Derry. The town's racism, which has been simmering in the background, like we saw it earlier. It's exploded. There's hostile organized group moving against the black community, including like the police chief. I think one of those was the deputy mayor and some other people that we had seen way earlier in the season. So it's not just the supernatural horror we're seeing systematic violence, hatred. And then we cut to the safe place for the black soldiers and the black people of the town, which there are not many. The black spot. It's become this next target. Which should be a sanctuary now, but it's on the brink, just on the brink of destruction. It's tense. It's super uncomfortable. It is super scary. All the while, the kids are fractured. They're trying to come. Lily wants them to go back, and fight it, and the kids are traumatized by the events just in the previous episode, which just happened to them. So it's understandable that they don't believe each other, and they don't trust Lily. But Lily, she finds out that Mrs. Kirsch is the daughter of Pennywise. She goes up into his house, sees the photo album, sees her costume. She finds out that Mrs. Kirsch is the one that's been following them around town as a clown. So it's not actually Pennywise that we had talked about earlier. And I think me and Brent, I think we talked about how the hair was different than Pennywise, and there's like something a little bit off about it.
Yeah, I didn't know what what is revealed. I did not know what it was. I thought it was just like an altered form of him.
I know we said there was something off. Like we thought it was him building up to his true form, right? But this was actually just his daughter going around freaking out trying to find her daddy. What's the little drummer boy's name?
Rich.
Rich has a beautiful moment with Margie.
Oops.
Whoop. Margie, where
Sorry.
they have some Air Force Cokes and listen to some music in the black spot, and as the episode ends, some cars pull up to the black spot, and out come the Legion of White Decency, which was a little sign we saw on the Welcome to Derry sign in the first episode. They show up with clown masks and shotguns, and the episode ends. Jesus. What are our thoughts on Mrs. Kirch's reveal?
Part of me I did get a little spoiled on that whole theory regarding.
Are these in trailers? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Nothing about her. She wasn't even in any trailers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it was just before this episode. There was some fan theories floating around on social media and that about the appearance, and I was like, okay, maybe, maybe, and then now it's revealed, but it's a wonderful way of including the character in that that we saw in It Chapter 2. At that point, obviously just still fully devoted to Pennywise.
She's dead at that point though, right? Because she transforms.
I mean, I think she probably is dead. Is she dead? Yeah, she's probably dead at that point, right? I don't know. Everything gets so confusing with him and that. With these movies. But yeah, I mean, going into the backstory and that, the way it did, and that, with her, as a kid, I'm still not sure exactly what happened to her father, or the father's connection to the clown, and that maybe he wasn't killed in the ironworks.
No, this is before. So he was part of the circus that we'd seen with Francis, right?
Yes, with Francis as a little kid, and that was about
1909. It's it's two cycles before this one. So
okay.
So based on what we saw in It Chapter 2, I want to say it was Chapter 2.
Yeah.
When they showed the flashback, he had devoured her father and took his form.
Yes.
Right. And that's why he does the whole pulls down his eyes and all that whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's where
he's wearing.
Yeah, and that's where and I feel like we'll find out in 2 seasons that he raised her and manipulated her that whole time and stuff. Oh well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's just there's so much to talk about in that, and it's like love Madeline Stowe in the role as Mrs. Kirsch at this point. I don't even know what to say. We're gonna talk about her. Is she evil or is she being manipulated?
Just go
I feel
into
like
it now, like
let's
because I
go into
talked
that
about
now.
Yeah.
because I talked about it just like 2 seconds ago, where I was like,
I had
was she manipulated
mentioned
as a kid?
I had mentioned that it's like people in close proximity to Pennywise, such as General Shaw, and that tend to if they're not devoured by him, and that they are obsessed with him, as adults. I think you're right about Shaw. I think he is after Pennywise for maybe even reasons he can't articulate. Mrs. Kirsch is trying. She thinks her father is somehow still there. Through no fault of through no fault of her own, because Pennywise, took her father and that when she was a child. Yeah, it's crazy to think about. She is just basically trying to maintain connection to the clown and that, and she does that. And obviously, we see that she has done that for a long time through children, and as we see further on in the episode, through the strife that is she creates that is going to feed Pennywise, and from in the last part of his cycle. Is she evil? At this point, yeah, I think it's pretty clear that everything she does for whatever reason, personally she's doing it for that, her actions are totally evil.
There's a weird super devotion to her dad, right? Like she was just
I
wanted to see her dad
in an unnatural way.
Yeah.
I
Sorry, Brent.
hesitate to call it evil.
Yeah.
I hesitate. I feel it's more of a obsession. It's she's not knowingly doing evil things for the purpose of evil things. It's more this entity has come to her and given her the one thing that she wanted in life more than anything, which is her father. And in order to get that, you have to do some things for me. And, like they're not great, but you'll get your daddy back. And she's not doing these things because it's evil. It's just like she has a singular vision, a singular goal in life now. And I like that because it ties her character into the Lily Bainbridge character more, where we now have this kind of through storyline with a few characters about, like the difference between what is real and what is psychosis in these characters. Like it's fitting that Lily met her working at the asylum, which is like the perfect place to find these supposed kids who have had visions of a clown. Like where else do your kid comes to you with a fantastical story in the mid 50s about a clown telling me to meet him in the sewers. Where do you put him? You send him off to a home like that. And then you have a person that works there that can then take those kids and be like, oh, you've met the clown? Well, let's go see him. And like the more of you I bring to him, the more I get closer to him, the more I get to see him. It's more cult like than it is like evil.
And she does mention something that it's like she thinks if she can feed him enough that the father can eventually break free. As if the father is still some sort of living entity, and that mixed up into the whole the slurry that is the identity of it. Which is interesting.
It's interesting. I just copied your word. It's interesting that Brent, you used the word cult like, because that's what I thought of when we were just discussing it now, because I had recently watched an interview on the Inside of You podcast by Michael Rosenbaum with Allison Mack, who famously was the Smallville.
I started watching that, but I haven't watched the whole thing yet.
Amazing. You should watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
We don't talk about
I've
it on the
heard
podcast.
She goes really in depth about it. Like,
not super in depth, but enough.
But she comes clean about it. Yeah.
She has her own podcast on CBC as well, where she talks about this. But she talks about how when she was in the cult and you're so devoted that you don't see anything outside, like you're right. It is a singular vision and you are doing that one thing, but you don't necessarily think you're bad. You're just thinking you're doing the right thing, but she was also being manipulated so much by the founder Keith Raniere and all the people. Like she was a true believer, and that's what Madeline Kirsch really is. She's like a true believer for her father, with that air quote. Check out this podcast; it's phenomenal. Alison Mack also has this full um podcast series on the CBC that they interview. It's crazy. Um,
I just had another oh shit moment pop up in my head.
Go for it. I love it.
Yeah.
Who's the one who brought Grogan to the black spot?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
Kirsch.
yeah, it was
Ingrid Kirsch.
Yeah.
And then Bowers gets fired and then talks about how, like, I heard where they might be holding him.
Yeah. They
How did
It was totally Mrs. Kirsch who told them.
Yeah.
Was it set up in the show?
Yeah.
Was it in the show that she said that?
I think maybe might have been a little
things like that.
I think you and
it was basically an anonymous. She said there was the quote unquote anonymous tip, but then the edit is to Mrs. Kirsch, and that as she is getting her periwinkle outfit on, and we realize that she is the one who informed the Bowers that he's there,
and she's also the one who.
Oh, by the way, Bowers, is that another connection?
Yeah.
Family connection in
okay. I think it's just kind of like it more lends to the history of Derry family lines. And
well,
stuff.
I mean, like, Hanlon, and Bowers, okay. Yeah.
And also
Uris, the Uris family.
And also Kirsch is the one who started the relationship with Hanlon, with Ronnie's dad, right?
Yeah.
And that's obviously, I feel like Pennywise has been pushing her towards this to make this incident happen, right? She's obviously also the one who's like, Ronnie's dad is on this prison transport. This is why we don't get to see Shawshank this season, which makes me sad. Stuff like that. Like she's totally been manipulating it to this black spot moment that we're gonna see in the next episode.
One more thing quickly in that we were talking about obsession and manipulation and that, and like the obsession of Pennywise and that. It's like it's weird that like the fact people who encounter Pennywise either fall into two categories in that either they leave Derry and they completely forget about him, or they stay in Derry and keep close proximity to him and basically become obsessive about it. I hate to use the word interesting again, but like it all has to do with memory. I know it all has to do with memory and like what people either choose or don't choose to believe anymore.
Like
I think it has to do more of like if you stay in Derry, your obsession is if you have encountered him at some point, because in the movies, when we fast forward to chapter 2, the only characters in chapter 2 that have any recollection of Pennywise or the entity in any way were ones who encountered it directly when they were younger. Whereas if you don't encounter it, it's like this fog that's just over the town that just makes everyone just ignore what's happening. Like it's only if you've seen him directly or seen it directly that you have that.
Yeah, you peek behind the curtain.
And we know that it has been shedding into the water, so it's also infecting all the people, which is very gross. Let's talk about Hanlon getting violent. Thoughts on Hanlon getting violent with Will? Is Derry actually getting to him? Is the trauma of killing his best friend? Is it all because his kid didn't listen to him and almost got shot? Is it all of the above? We see in it chapter 1 that he's an old angry man at that point. Like what happens? I don't think his wife is gonna make it out of the black spot. I'm just throwing that out there. Or at least
she's not there.
No, I don't think she's making it out of the season.
Yeah, I don't think she's making it out of the season. No, but she's not at the black spot, so I don't think she's going to be involved. She might eventually. There, so.
Yeah.
Well, so, I think what's happening in the black spot. I don't think that's the finale to the season. I think that's happening next week.
I think the military thing is going to be the finale.
Yeah.
Sorry, the whole Hanlon thing. Go for it.
Yeah, I think the Hanlon getting violent is a direct response to what happens, like we discussed earlier. What happens when you don't have a natural response to fear? It becomes anger. It bottles up, it becomes anger. And we're seeing that with him. He's never like worried about things in the show. He's angry about everything. Like, he's angry that he wasn't told what's happening. He's angry that his his son wants to go out there, and he's not worried about him. He's angry that he's doing this, and it's just building up to that over and over and over again. And
Mhm.
finally, it's like it culminates in this moment where he unleashes that anger on the wrong person. Like,
Yeah.
where we see when Halloran gets scared, he drinks himself into a stupor. He tries to avoid it. He tries to get the fear out of him that way by pushing it away. Whereas like this guy, he reacts in the exact opposite way by just lashing out.
Hmm.
Yeah. I agreed. It's like it's a response, Although it's like in a way, it's like Will isn't half wrong in that because he knows the effects that that it has over Derry, and that it's like it affects the adults in ways that they don't even know about, and brings out the worst in them. And that it's probably the first time his father's ever raised a hand to him. I think the mother's been the most corrective element in the relationship as far as like in the way they rear Will. So yeah, this is a really more direct result of like what happened. It's like
Yeah.
a guy who's been to war, seen the worst of the worst, seen the worst that people can do to each other, and that. But now it's like
Yeah, here's a guy who spent his entire life like rationalizing everything, that there's a rational explanation for everything, and now he's finally being thrust into a situation that he sees his son going through where there is no rational explanation to it,
Yeah.
and he can't wrap his head around that, so it triggers that kind of anger response.
Yeah. Speaking of responses, you mentioned earlier that Halloran's is to lock himself in a room and drink himself. What do we think of this? They have this whole talk about duty and what they need to do, and Hanlon's he wants to straight up fight again. And Halloran he talks about how his box is gone and how he can see all the spirits and how drinking and not noticing it, or at least not paying attention to them, is what he has to do. What are your thoughts on this?
that's a great callback to Doctor Sleep. And like basically like Danny in that when Danny followed, his dad's path down the way of alcoholism, to cope with, the fact that, he could see dead people, he could communicate with dead people. And he didn't at that point in his life, he was scared of the gift. And basically Halloran, like we don't know much beyond like like his backstory up to this point, right? We know he's in the Air Force. Do we know if he we know we don't but like do we know if he was a good officer or not? Because we know what has elevated him is his project and his gifts. you know
Mhm.
um Hamlin is like the company man, right? The fighter, the warrior, the soldier, and that. But Halloran's something different, right? um
I get the feeling that he is by if it weren't for this ability he would have been discharged. I get the feeling that his
yeah,
character is a bit of a military idiot,
I,
like
yeah,
I
not
yeah.
suitable for what he's doing.
I feel like he would have
right,
been a spook if that was available at this time. Like he would have been
yeah.
that type of person. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it's interesting because, like, they're both of them are like people who benefit off of the largesse of the army at this point, right? It's like Hamlin can provide a nice life for his family, can protect them, from like the worst elements that of life, right? Because he's a decorated officer, he's a guy who gets things done, blah blah blah. But and Halloran, you can see Halloran is, he enjoys privileges that no other black officer like should enjoy at that point in the military, right? Just based off of this
Yeah.
gift that he has.
And I think with anyone, like if you had a gift like that, whether you're a screw up who doesn't deserve to be there, or whether he could have been a very highly decorated officer,
We don't know.
but at the end of the day, all anyone cares about is this one aspect of him that he has that nobody else has, and it's that aspect that's driving him mad. He's being forced to use this gift that is constantly bringing back haunting memories for him,
Mhm.
and aggravating all of these things that he's tried to suppress for so long. I drink myself stupid too.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, I don't doubt him. Like he said, like he's in a room and there's two ghosts just sitting there, like just
Mm,
there,
yeah,
and he can't do
yeah,
anything about it. It's sad that
yeah.
he can't do the box thing again, and I wonder how he gets that back. There's been talk online about him getting his own show, which I would love a Halloran show. Like leading up to him going to the Outlook, right? Um
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that would be fascinating to me, and I hope that happens because
I
although
would love that, especially for the actor, because I think
he's
he's a really great
phenomenal,
actor.
isn't he? Oh,
He's been in so many like little projects over the years and that, and apparently like a few large ones that I've missed out on. But I know him from Homeland, the first season,
I didn't watch it.
um, and
Remember
a
that.
great little
Well, it's been
cameo
a long time since.
yeah, a great little cameo he does in season 4 of Justified. It's great.
And another show I haven't seen. Oh, anyway,
Yeah, another. I've
You'd
seen
love
both. I
you
don't
know what,
remember
you
him
would
from either.
love Justified. It's so good.
it's on
Justified's
Crave.
really
I'll watch
good.
it. I
Yeah.
like
it's
what's
really
his
good.
name, Timothy
Oliphant.
Oliphant,
The Oliphant.
who is
Yeah.
also
And
in
Walt-
Dreamcatcher.
Watch it because of the fact that Walton Goggins was only supposed to be in the pilot episode, but he did so phenomenally well with that character that they kept him on for the entire series.
Boyd
Goddamn.
Crowder.
I like him. I like him so.
Yeah.
I know in the first episode, we had talked about how the racial tensions had really was it's super upsetting, especially for me. But this episode does really bring the racial tensions to an all-time high. So, what has been scarier this episode? Is it the supernatural? Is it the racial tensions? Like, it's freaky that the racial tensions could be even compared to the supernatural, but it is. I find it scarier than the supernatural part.
In this instance, they're connected, but so far the scarier aspects have been the racial, tensions and that, and just the casualness to the violence of it. It's like it's both representative of the culture of the time and that, and I'm saying early '60s, maybe late. I don't know. I'm getting, I'm bad with years, but the montage at the beginning of that, basically, where it pans across the missing posters of the kids and that are on the back wall, but the one that draws their attention is the missing black convict and that, and the way it just escalates from there and there. It's like it's the only thing that captures their attention in that, is the dangerous fugitive who's roaming about there, and the way it escalates with them just openly carrying weapons across to the public library in Derry and that,
walking up on like the campus of the school with shotguns in hand.
Shotguns
like,
and alcohol, which makes it even scarier to me. Like, you mix those two together. I remember in the first episode, someone said this is in New York, this is Derry or something like that. One of the characters saying that, and I was like, oh, that's a scary thing to say, because they were trying to
I think he said
the
this
JFK thing, right?
This ain't America, this is Derry.
Derry, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to and the fact that we start to see that what was that, the Legion of White something. Well, I can't remember what the name of the people. I know. Anyway, we start to see that the people in the clown suit, like the masks. There's something scary about them coming up with the clown mask and the Halloween mask. Like, we had seen a scary clown, but I find this group of white folk with clown masks and shotguns even scary, because we know the history of the States. To be honest, Canada too.
Sure, and it's something that Stephen King has always like tried to draw attention to in his books. Not, I remember in The Stand, in his description of Randall Flagg as he's walking across America, and that stuffed in the pockets of the denim jacket, are leaflets on one side, like protect the the environment, and blah blah blah, and in the other side are white supremacist literature that he loves to hand out to other people too. Stephen King has always like tried to turn an eye onto that, keep the eye focused on that, and it's something he really incorporates into his writing too. I remember reading about how, like, with his characters, he always makes sure he racially codes them, so that because he knows that when they do eventually get converted to like a film or television series and that, it's like there's going to be some producers going to try and turn a black character white and that, but he actually puts that into the story and makes it an important aspect so that producers down the line can't do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. That makes me think of Annihilation, the movie, because the main character is played by Natalie Portman, but in the book she's Filipino. And I'm sitting there, like, when I saw the movie, I was like, what? That's not right. Me and Brent were talking about this off mic before, but the stupidity of the internet and the racism of this movie. There's a lot of anger at this series. We don't understand it because we think it's amazing, but even more so, the people right now are very angry that this movie has similarities to Sinners, the amazing Sinners movie, right? But
Well,
there's a
it's
gathering place of black people, and then evil people are coming to kill them. That's
yes.
what people are angry about, and the racism coding in that. But that's just sort of the time, right? That's the
Yeah.
world we live in.
And it's like to think that, something like that being some sort of isolated story is just
Exactly.
so laughable. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to tell all those people the fact that Sinners was based around what the original concept for Blade was supposed to be?
Mm.
Right?
Like
The MCU
that was
Blade?
when Marvel decided they were going to make a Blade movie and hire Mahershala Ali to do it. The original concept was it was meant to take place in that era and be about, like, it was supposed to be that similar kind of storyline, and that's where Coogler got the idea for it and developed. That's why all the costumes you see in Sinners were taken directly from the costumes they made for the Blade movie.
Yeah.
The sets were taken directly from what they made for the Blade movie. Like,
That's so cool.
when Blade got canceled, he basically stepped in and said, I want to repurpose everything for a story that I have.
A much better story.
It's this whole idea of, like, anytime, it's, you don't want to call racism out, but it is a little bit like anytime you see something that's about a culture and you see a similar story that's about the culture, you call it, oh, you're just copying. But it's like, but what about, like, for Caucasian cultures and stuff like that? Like, we make a lot of similar stuff. It doesn't mean it's the same damn thing.
Have you not seen
It's
the
just
Fast
the
movies?
era.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just the era. Like, both movies, both storylines take place in an era where these people were marginalized and had to do things like this.
Yeah.
What I like the most about it is that, like, the difference is, people are focusing on the difference, is that in Sinners, the difference was about these people wanting to have their own place and like pushing away people that wanted to join them, because they said, no, this is our thing. Whereas in this is about a group of people coming in and going, like, no, you don't get your own thing.
Yeah.
We're going to come in and take it. Like,
Which is basically what was going to happen at the end of Sinners 2, from what
Yeah.
we understand. The clan was coming back for them no matter what happened with the vampires and that.
Yeah.
That morning. Yeah.
Great movie. If you guys have not seen, did we do a review on Sinners? Or did we
I think we've just periodically talked about it a lot, and I know we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it in our best
We'll
of
talk
the
about it at the
year.
end of the year.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 weeks.
Yep.
We will see.
Yeah.
Talk about it. I wanted to talk about loss of safe spaces and how the black spot is, but that's really going to be next week. There's a lot of skipped military stuff this week. But there's bound to be a reckoning just based on the ending. What do you think the military will retaliate against the town after what happens at the black spot incident? After what happened at the Neibolt house incident, there seems to be a lot, because those are going to be a lot of soldiers that are going to die at the black spot. And we know that there isn't an active military presence in the next cycle. So what do you guys think might happen at this point, because to have them actually just go away? This is an active military base. I don't think they built it for this. I think it was there already. Like, they were saying that they did some stuff there for the war earlier.
I know, but my fear is that basically they made it so far away from the actual, they put themselves so far away from the actual military base and that like, they wanted the isolation and that, it's basically nobody who doesn't have business there would go there, So I don't know if there's going to be an actual military, response from the military regarding it, that's an interesting aspect I hadn't even really thought about. So
I think that there's going to be some that are going to want a response, like Hanlon and Halloran and whatnot. But I think this is where we're going to dive deeper into Shaw's obsession with the entity, where it's like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I think he's going to ignore what happened there because he's so singularly focused on what they're doing, trying to find the entity. So, and I think that's going to cause problem, and I think that's going to
Be the
I don't
last
know how
episode.
it's going to implode the military storyline, but it is in some way.
They're gonna
Mm.
implode for sure. I feel like they are.
Yeah.
They have to get out of there. So that's it for episode 5 and 6. Um,
Yeah.
it we really ramped up. Like this season is just built upon. We get Pennywise finally. The town is just exploding, and with that ending, we know that shit is just hitting. It's gone. Yeah, everything is gonna happen.
Yep.
So any final thoughts on episode 5 and 6? Let's start with Brent first.
Um, no, I hated how this episode ended,
Yes.
and knowing that I have a week to wait.
Mm,
Yep.
I'll give a thought on the series as a whole right now. I mentioned to you beforehand that I have one massive grievance with this season, and it's becoming bigger and bigger as it goes on. And it's the fact that because every season is going to be going back in time to the previous event,
yeah.
that means that I have become so in love with the storyline and the characters this season, and knowing that at the end of 2 more episodes, they're probably not going to be on the show anymore. We're going to
Yeah.
go back in time and introduce a whole new group, and we're never going to see this group again, probably. And that anchors me because I love them so much.
Yeah.
I've never had an it story where I love the kids and the adults equally.
Yeah, this is the first time you like the adults, right?
Yeah.
It's really
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hawk.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this was like, it's, if anybody was upset about not seeing Pennywise or that, it's like, this is why. It's like you built it. This is the way you build up his appearance into it, was with episode 5. And then to, him to come back for episode 6 for that, that little moment that added so much backstory with Mrs. Kirsch and everything. These are just 2 phenomenal episodes. And in a way, I cannot predict what is going to happen next. Which is one of the nice things about this show is I'm going to be surprised. About with these, the next 2, the penultimate and then the finale. I can't wait to get there. Yeah. The kids, I'm really loving the kids. Like all the tensions and that they as much as like Andy Muschietti captured like like the preteen like dramas and that in his film, this captures that whole grade school thing like very well, and especially for the time period.
Yeah.
I watched the preview for next week, and knowing what happens next week, I don't really know. Like I've watched the trailers and a lot of the stuff that I thought was going to go one way turns out I was completely wrong.
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job about that, about showing you things that really get you excited but not giving anything away really.
Mhm.
But knowing what events are going to happen next week, I can't help but wonder, where the fuck does the finale go?
Oh God.
Like, where do they go with the finale? Like,
Yeah, who knows? It's amazing what the Muschietis have done with this series. They amp it up every week, and they're expanding the King Lord like no one else can. The only other people that I trust with this property is like Mike Flanagan, right? He's the only other person that has done something good, and I hope that the Muschietis have been talking with Flanagan, because Flanagan has his Carrie series coming out, right?
yeah.
And I hope
Which I learned Matt
I
Lillard
didn't
is
even
in.
know about that.
Yeah, Matt Lillard's
Matt
in it.
Lillard plays the principal. I'm so
Is he?
excited for that. Like, he's having such a career renaissance right now,
And he's
I
gonna
love
be
it.
in something else next year too that was really good that it was announced. Fuck, what was it?
Oh yeah, shit, I can't remember.
I
Well, he's
yeah,
in the next Scream movie.
yeah, he's in the next Scream movie.
He had a
but-
great Matthew. He had a great. Is he the same one I'm thinking of? He had a great appearance in the last chapter or the last season of Twin Peaks. It was a cameo appearance, but it was nice little 2-episode run.
I
I
gotta
think.
watch that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Brent said, I'm gonna miss this cast. Like they're so good. And do they go the American Horror route and like make an anthology and use the same actors in different roles? I hope not, because
I hope not.
Because-
That would really take me
yeah.
out of it if they did.
yeah, because they really got their characters just perfect.
Yeah.
I do hope that the people that they've shown in flashbacks do show up in the next season, because that would be neat. I think that would be neat. I hope this doesn't take another 2 years. I don't know if they filmed part
Yeah.
of this season, the next season yet. They did it over 1 year, right? Last year when they filmed it, and then it came out this year. Anyways,
I'm kind of hoping what happens is I hope we do find out that Shaw becomes like this big massive villain by the end of this season.
yeah.
And then when we get to the next season, he's one of the main characters and we can kind of see his motivation leading up to why that happens.
But he didn't
Ooh.
remember anything until he came back to
No,
Derry.
he said he did.
I
He
thought
revealed that he revealed I think it was either I can't remember if it was this episode 6 or 5, but one of the episodes he revealed I do remember more than I'm letting on.
I think
Mhm.
I thought he meant when he said that because he only said that he remembered part of it to Rose the first
Yeah.
time, but I think when he came back he remembered all of it. That's what I thought he meant.
No,
I mean,
he-
there's
he let it
always
out,
we don't
like,
know.
He let out that he remembers more than he was letting on than he did.
Yeah, but I thought that just meant like when he came back he remembered it all instead of just partially. Anyway, this is something we'll find out in the next 2
Yeah.
episodes probably. We don't know.
We hope.
We will definitely be back in 2 weeks to talk about the finale, but we're also going to do our end of the year stuff. Is this show going to be at the top of our TV list? Probably.
Spoiler, yeah.
Yeah.
If not the best TV show, this is definitely one of the best. It's
It's not even done the first season. This is already on my top 5 series of all time.
it's so good.
Like, it's that fucking good.
It
It's
makes
just
me,
such a great translation of film and book to television. Really, you know.
yeah. This,
It's what happens when the right person gets the right material
and
and
they
gets the
understand it.
freedom to do what they want with it and the respect to do what they want with it. Like, this is just such a perfect pairing. This is Mike Flanagan and Midnight Mass. It is what happens when the right person gets the right material and just goes crazy.
So what we need is Mike Flanagan and the Machetes to come together, make a production company, and do the Dark Tower finally.
Oh my God, yes. Do all 7 books.
Well, Mike Flanagan is attached to the Dark Tower, right?
Yeah.
He's attached to it still, but he's doing
It's always been such a doomed project for so many years, right? You know, HBO was supposed to do the adaptation and never did.
I think
So-
Welcome to Derry might push it forward, right? Like
It
this
could push it
show
forward.
has like been gangbusters. People love this
Yep.
show, and for good
Yep.
reason. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh God, we could talk about the show for
We
hours,
will.
even more
We'll
so.
talk about it again.
We're going to talk about
We
it. in
have
2
talked
weeks.
about it for hours.
Yeah, well, literally an hour and a half. We will be
This
back
is literally the first time we've ever done like a repeating series on one show.
and like after we did the first one, I was like, I want to talk about this all the time, like that. We will be back. We're going to be ending out our season or the year soon. We're going to do our best of. We're going to talk about the finale of this. And I don't know if you guys want to talk about Stranger Things, but I want to talk about it after we finish watching it. It might be the
hell
new
yeah.
year because the last episode comes out on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve? New Year's Eve.
I really hope that the end of season 4 was not the peak of this season. I hope it was just the beginning.
Yeah. Hawk doesn't know what we're talking about. He hasn't seen it yet. But
Nope.
we won't
No,
spoil
not
it for him.
Okay.
If you guys
We will not.
want homework for it, Welcome to Derry, watch Dreamcatcher, watch Doctor Sleep. They're surprisingly very important to this show. If you haven't seen what's it called? What's Doctor Sleep's prequel?
The Shining?
The Shining.
Oh my God. Watch that too. Like it's very interesting. There's yeah. Oh, by the way, if you guys watch Zootopia too, they do a Shining sequence in it, which made me laugh, and no other person in the theater understood it. I don't know how, but yeah. Anyway, thank you guys out there for listening. Hawk, Brent, thanks for talking. We're gonna be back talking about this show
Worries.
because it's fucking awesome. For all of you out there, thanks for listening. We will see you in a couple weeks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can find all of this good stuff on our website at www.geekswithkids.ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.